Because we stayed for the conclusion of the golf from St Andrews this afternoon, our programmes for tonight have been changed slightly, and the roundup of the chess championships can now be seen at the later time of 25 past midnight here on BBC2. Now on BBC2, back on schedule, we join Helen Lederer for a nostalgic look back over 35 years of Blue Peter, meeting along the way some of the presenters, pets and sticky back plastic that made the programme what it is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
Blue Peter. Diddle-um-pom-pom, diddle-um-pom-pom, diddle-diddle. Three people sitting on a couch, smiling at camera, surrounded by various animals, collecting stamps for Indonesian water pumps or knitting squares for a blanket, in an almost surreally empty studio with a white shiny floor and that famous ship at the back. Val astride a camel, or intrepid John Noakes up Nelson's column, for some reason. All this when they weren't making a pencil case out of a squeezy bottle or industriously fashioning a felt hat for a troll. They did it all, and we watched them do it.
Hello, mate.
Snip. You might say this is a trunk call. Oh, we're out again. Oh. But don't give up yet. We're almost there.
We slightly resented the new people a bit for a while. Leslie, who I've come to love, Leslie Judd, I did feel a little uneasy with just because Val was such a pal.
I quite fancied Peter Purvis, actually. That's a very deep sickness.
My major memory of Blue Peter was Shep, the dog. It's a bit of an insult to the presenters, that, but it was. I loved the dog.
It was very unpretentious, it was very direct. And for me, it just reminded me all the time that animals have rights.
The milk bottles would be delivered outside your door. Because it was frosty and cold, the birds would peck through the top to try and get the cream off the top of the milk bottle. And that was a disaster because that was no good to Blue Peter, one that was ruined like that. So, of course, you ended up, trying to save the milk bottles and kill the birds, which probably was very politically incorrect.
It was just for girls and boys who had ponies, who lived in red brick Queen Anne 3-storey houses with a white corral around a paddock, and that under no circumstances would I ever have the chance to win or wear a Blue Peter badge because they would find out that I lived in a flat.
I thought they genuinely only expected 1 million bottle tops and were astonished when they got 10 million bottle tops, as indeed I was.
I defy anyone not to be able to close their eyes and conjure up that Monday and Thursday tea time memory of children's telly, exclusively for us, the young people, and our favourite extended family, the Blue Peter presenters.
It's just ordinary wool stuck onto an old nylon stocking.
My God! Oh, hey! It's absolutely incredible!
Their job was to be there for us. They didn't have to grow up, but the children did. Here are some I saw earlier.
you want to be a reporter when you grow up?
Well, I might be one, but I've got other ambitions.
You've got other things to do. Well, fine.
Well, I've been a jigsaw fan for quite a time, and I decided to make a picture in several layers.
How many words can you actually read a minute?
About 1,500.
Where did all those honest-to-goodness, cosy corner children end up?
When I was a child, I used to think everything was a dream world. Like, you'd watch films like The Wizard of Oz, and you think that's true, and everything's like that, but it's not when you go out in the real world. Everything's sort of a struggle, and you've got to sort of fight for what you want and push for your own work. Well, I used to sort of always want to be on the telly and sing. Like, we do the clubs and pubs and cabaret. I think I have made it as a singer.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way.
Someone said to me that my job was glamorous. I would say, well, it's not when you get out of bed first thing in the morning after a late night and you're tired and you've got bags under your eyes and your throat's sore. It's not very glamorous then.
Headlines for corner. Good. Corner again.
I look upon my childhood as the start of my career. What I'm doing now is just a continuation of what I started when I was little. It all rolls into one.
Faces. Good.
Well, Morris thought that something that you'd like to see was him. And we absolutely agree. Morris is here today, and just watch those feet.
You can't put into words what it was like going into that studio, having seen it on the television a couple of days before, and then all of a sudden there I was standing in it, on this lovely shiny white floor. John Noakes asked me to take Shep over to him, which was excellent. I couldn't believe my luck, really, to walk Shep from one side of the studio over to the other.
Andrew and Stephen are lucky because they've got a really deserted spot to sail their land yachts. It's very close to where they live, and it's called Sunk Island.
So I was so excited because as sort of a little lad from Yorkshire, being invited down to the big city of England, never ever been there before in my life. Everybody at the school thought they were rather amused because I was 16 at the time, and of course they sort of assumed Blue Peter was for slightly younger people, and I didn't care at all. I thought this is just absolutely marvellous opportunity.
How long did it take you to make them?
It took about a week.
That was all? That's very quick.
That's right.
And where did you make it?
I made it in a very large room with large doors.
Everybody watched it. I think they were waiting to watch me fall flat on my face, really, in front of, I don't know how many million viewers we've got watching Blue Peter, but I think it's quite a few. And I was the star of the school. And in a sense, it gave me an awful lot of confidence for the years to come.
The sort of confidence, in fact, which primed Stephen for a very successful career as a marine artist.
Eventually, I managed to figure out how the system worked. I thought I'd take my paintings around London, see what interest I could get. I remember going to one gallery, which I won't name because I'd be probably rather embarrassed about it now. And I spoke to a chap there and he said, well, how much could you get for these paintings in Yorkshire? So I said, well, about £140. So he said, well, I suggest you go back to Yorkshire with them. And the irony is that particular gallery is quite often asked if they could sell my paintings. Of course, a great pleasure telling them down because I've got other people that have obviously supported me in the past and through a lot of loyalty, I've stuck with them.
Even though I was only little, I thought this is my first job. And going on the television was just fantastic, and I thought, yes, this is it. We've arrived.
A most difficult step.
Yes, I have.
Would you like to show me?
This one in the dance I'm about to show.
Well, if I have a preview, I'll stand back first.
The majority of children at school enjoyed what I did. I mean, there were the odd few that mocked me, I suppose.
Shoot the legs up.
I just ignored them. I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't care about them. They wanted to play football, they could play football. I'd be quite interested to know how many of them became professional footballers, really. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely to see you all again here. Are you all right? Yes. Oh, come on, you can do better than that. You can talk to me, I'm not famous. Are you all right? Yes. Oh, that's better. Well, now, my name's Morris, and I'm here to entertain you now for the next 5.5 hours.
There's no shortcut to painting at all. It's a lot of sweat, really, and a bit of inspiration. But the thing is, people, I must admit, some people sort of say, well, what sort of inspiration do you need as a professional artist? And I think, like a lot of professional artists, you just need a damn great big bill on your doormat and you're suddenly inspired.
Those were some of the lucky ones. To do what you've always wanted to do and make a living out of it seems good to me. I wasn't so fortunate. When I was 10, I was desperate to be a travel agent. I even had my own agency. I called it Helen Travel, oddly. I even had my own rubber stamp, luggage labels and hole puncher. If only I'd written into Blue Peter then, they might have had me on. But it wasn't to be. We can't all get to live our childhood ambitions and dreams, can we? Otherwise, we'd be a nation of film stars, firemen and train drivers.
5, 3, 2, Blue Peter.
Hello, Melvin.
Hello, John.
Now, Melvin, I've heard it said that since you first got your teeth when you were a little baby, you have eaten nothing but baked beans. Is it true?
Yes, it's true. I've eaten nothing but beans on toast.
And you've had
I used to stick to one brand, which was HP. And my mother used to work for a company that did labelling fruit and veg and stuff like that. She used to bring their home brand home and she used to tip it into a HP tin and said, "Yeah, look, they're HP." And I said, "They're not. Different colour sauce. They're not the ones."
Melvin did change tack after his Blue Peter debut. I mean, there's liking beans and making a career out of liking them. Tricky and not hugely sociable, I suspect. Today he's an HGV driver.
I'd like to own my own vehicle, be my own boss. I'd like to have I've got a tattoo on my back, which I'm fond of my tattoos, and I want to get it completed and finished. It's only half done, but I like the pain. It just feels like well, to me, it feels like a little pair of scissors cutting through your skin at high speed.
Do your parents worry about this?
No, not much. They took me to the doctors, but the doctors didn't say nothing to worry about.
And you don't get sick of baked beans?
No.
Since I got married to Jan, I've started eating other things. There's a lot of things I still don't eat. I don't eat vegetables and stuff like that. I eat a lot of chicken now. She's got me hooked on chicken.
This is the outfit that wins the first prize. It's a dance dress in lilac crepe with cut-out tulips sewn on, and it's from 9-year-old Elizabeth's story of Dorking.
I think this is just the most gorgeous dress that I've ever had.
It is.
Here's Elizabeth who designed it. Elizabeth, congratulations. Is it how you wanted it?
Yes.
How do you think it looks on Val?
I think it looks great on her.
Good.
Thank you very
I
much.
just thought it was wonderful. Looked beautiful. Brilliant, bright. Every detail was just how I'd drawn it. The choker, the shoes, everything. Just perfect. Just looked dazzling.
Very interesting, because I think she's probably going to be one of our top designers one day.
No, I'm not a designer. Because I feel you have to have a sense of business acumen in order to become a designer, and I just haven't got that grounding. And I'm actually not very ambitious. I do consider being a mother and wife a career. I love bringing up my children because it's just the most fulfilling thing to be able to do.
I only got more higher.
And if you're wondering what's happened to the boys, it's a boy who's won 3rd prize with these designs. Guess how they've been done? With different kinds of wallpaper.
And the boy who devised them is 14 years old. He's Stephen McCulloch, who comes from Alness, which is in Ross-shire, Scotland.
Stephen left Scotland and moved to Paris, changed his name to Stéphane Scoulard, and now works with Karl Lagerfeld.
Working in fashion
isn't easy. I mean, I wouldn't like to give the impression to people that anybody could do it and that you just had to sort of write to Blue Peter and say, I want to be a designer, and a few years later you're working in some big fashion house. That's not the way it goes at all. A lot of people are eliminated on the way. It's like a quiz show, and you just know that everybody's not going to end up first prize winner in life.
It's been a tremendously difficult task, and I've enjoyed looking at every single one of the designs that has been sent in.
I wasn't disappointed at all not becoming the winner of the competition. I mean, I was completely thrilled. If I even had been 10th winner, if there was a 10th place, I would have been just as pleased.
Top prize winners. Now,
I remember her dress very well. It was a long evening dress with tulips on it. I always remember the tulips, I mean, even years later. And she had the pleasure of having a garment made up and being next to Valerie Singleton.
I was actually introduced to her in her bra and pants, and she was reading her script and in the makeup room. And so I didn't know quite how to react to that.
When I heard it was for Valerie Singleton, of course, it made everything much easier because Valerie Singleton could be described as having been it at the time, as she just had the look. I mean, I had cousins that were Valerie Singleton lookalikes.
The next day, when I walked into assembly, everybody stood up and clapped, and the headmistress handed me a box of chocolates or something. And it was the first time I'd got that feedback from my school friends and classmates, because I'd never done anything particularly significant at school. I was never any good at sports, never on any netball teams or anything like that.
It didn't occur to me that what I was actually doing at home by designing clothes was actually fashion designing. And then once I'd won the competition, I took to doing it more seriously and trying to assemble things as sort of miniature collections. It just turned into a possible career, sort of overnight.
Although I had the ideas, I just didn't have the motivation to continue it. And I was told that I probably wasn't competitive enough with the whole fashion world. You have to be tough to survive.
Blue Peter gave thousands of children their 15 minutes of fame. And out of those thousands, inevitably, some made it to adult stardom as well.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Although this wasn't U2 at an embryonic moment, by the way. It was The Urge.
You wanted me all of the time, but it didn't make things better.
Even now, many years later, this is a performance which people still remind me of.
The bass player for The Urge was Nigel Short, the chess player. The connection's obvious.
I was asked, well, did you have some hobbies or something? I said, yes, I play in a band. At that time, we had only one song. I was out of time, always, because I was by far the worst.
Thank you very much, The Urge. That certainly rocks along. Listen, playing bass guitar. How long have you been at this caper?
2.5 weeks.
Well, I mean, that's tremendous.
We were actually in the school song contest. We were really jeered and booed, and I'm quite sure it was simply because people were envious of my success as a chess player.
You're not too sure about your musical ambitions. Any ambitions in chess?
I'd like to be a grandmaster as soon as possible.
Well, I have every confidence that you will be one day.
The power of television can never be underestimated. Exposure on it means you can never be the same again. You can't lie about not being on Blue Peter because millions of people will have seen you. The deed is done, forever.
On the Monday morning, it was announced in school assembly that I would be on Blue Peter, and everybody laughed and looked round. So, of course, they were there to watch on the Thursday. They made fun of the moles on my face and also my last note, which they said was very dodgy. And basically, I was just teased every single day for terms.
And we discovered a family up at Newton Aycliffe who do strand pulling, and if it's still a bit of a mystery to you, as it was to us, here are the Bartlett family, strand pulling away. You can probably see the strands are are in fact steel springs, and they look rather like chest expanders, but they're a lot more difficult to pull.
Well, I felt embarrassed being on the programme. It was a sort of thing of, well, I've got to go along with this and I'll do it, but I'm thinking, what's everybody going to think when they see me? I'd just started work, I'd left school, I was 15. I was sort of this trendy girl who was here, there, going to disco, doing all this, and the last thing that you thought was that you would be seen on the television programme pulling a chest expander. I kept thinking all the time I'm there, I must look an absolute fool. I must look.
You had a special outfit,
and it probably shows, yeah. Oh yes, I'd bought an outfit especially because I thought if they think I'm standing there in a pair of shorts, no way.
I remember going to school the next day, really excited, thinking, well, did they enjoy it? And going up to my friends and asking them if they enjoyed it, and they said, well, we didn't watch it because the Tomorrow People was on, and it was the last episode. And of course there were no videos in those days, so we weren't missing that.
When I was actually doing the record attempt, what we didn't realise was that John Noakes was like a roving person. He didn't actually stay in one place. And doing this particular pull, if you got it wrong, the safety device was to let it flick over your head. Well, there's John Noakes looking and saying, come on, come on. I'm thinking, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. If it goes, it's going to get you.
And now Malcolm's got to straighten his arm behind his back.
Now, come on, put your hand on that man, put your head up.
And he's getting coaching from his dad. He's got to stand to attention. And the thumbs go up! The thumbs go up from the referees!
The person that made the day was Noakes.
John Noakes.
John Noakes. He made that day
personality plus.
Absolutely perfect. Unbelievable.
Let's have a look at this strand. It's a fair old thing, isn't it? I don't think I want to do it.
And then eventually you can gain their trust.
What have I got left?
Put it on the floor and let them eat it, shall we? Come on, come
Mind
on.
the noise.
Well,
Will
you
you two take care of that while I tell you some news about racing?
Whoa!
Powerboat racing. We're having a lovely big punch up here.
Underneath the belt, I've got a secret weapon.
What a beautiful pair of knockers.
This is quite a historic moment because here we are surrounded by Blue Peter memorabilia, and here I am surrounded by two of the major presenters and producers of Magpie. Do you see it as an opposition programme?
There was a belief at the time that in some way we were locked in mortal combat. I promise you we weren't. From our point of view, Blue Peter was regarded, I think, with friendly and highly professional rivalry.
One for sorrow, two for joy, three for a girl and four for a boy.
I firmly believe that all kids watched both programmes, that it was only the parents who thought that one may have been different from the other, but the kids liked the two.
You may well be wondering what assorted creams have to do with a Rolls-Royce. Well, the answer is that these assorted creams, actually, when you bought them some many years ago, came like this, because this is a biscuit tin.
I suppose, in a way, we were hoist by the point at which we started, in just the same way one could argue that Blue Peter, perhaps not now, but for many years, still had that slight Hugh Weldon touch about it. You know, that slight area,
Yes,
slightly 50s worthy.
They called him the Sun King, and John Nettleton tells his story.
This is Louis XIV, one of the greatest kings France ever had. He was known as the Sun King because his reign was so glorious.
And there you are, you've got one jolly nice decoration for a party or perhaps to go on a shelf or a table, and it's a practical one.
I feel this programme wouldn't be complete without someone saying stick your back to plastic at least once. There, I've said it. Would the world have collapsed if Val, in an anarchic moment, had said Fablon or sellotape, or even followed John Noakes' example?
Now, I've used the extra bit of biro. I'm sorry, I shouldn't mention that name, should I? It's a ballpoint pen. Ooh, I'll get my cards.
What kind of mind can invent 99 unique uses for a standard issue egg box, all for a lot less than it would cost in the shops? Well, here she is, the champion of the fabric conditioner bottle and the squeezy bottle, Margaret Purnell. Now, Margaret, how did you actually get the job?
Well, I was watching the programme with my children when Valerie Singleton was making something one day, and I thought, well, I could do that. So I made a doll's hat and sent it up to Val, and she wrote me back a letter and said they liked it, and they demonstrated it on the programme, and from then it went on.
And were you thrilled?
I was absolutely flabbergasted.
Just from seeing
yes,
it and then sending up?
That's right, yes.
And did she write back personally?
Yes, I've still got the letter.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, you didn't answer an ad in the Guardian
No,
immediately?
nothing like that. I just thought I'd try.
Now, to give this a sort of natural look, I've got this sticky back plastic that looks like sort of knotted pine.
Often from the supermarket, I'd go looking at the shelves and looking at the different shapes, and this was rather bigger than I did, but I made a pig. From a squeezy bottle, a bit like this. You put ears and legs, and that would be better for a dachshund, I think, don't you?
Yeah, now, was that the first use of the squeezy bottle? You know all the jokes about squeezy bottles,
Yes.
so you were
I think the pig was the first thing I made. It was a pig money box, and that was a squeezy bottle.
One of my favourite television programmes is the Magic Roundabout, and I expect you remember when I made this Dougal a little while ago. I made him by using a plastic detergent bottle for his body and covering it with wool.
We've eaten an awful lot of yoghurt in our lives.
To get through. And where do you... Is there a special laboratory that you invent all these?
Well, I've got a big garden shed, and it's stuffed full of old boxes and packets and paper.
I wonder how many times your mother has wanted to lay her hands on the kitchen wipe-up cloth, only to find it's never where she left it. I know I have, but not anymore. Have a look at this. I call it the Right-Away Wipe-Away Kitchen Kit.
Hello. Hello. Well, last week we showed you how to become a gynecologist. And this week on How to Do It, we're going to show you how to play the flute, how to split an atom, how to construct a box girder bridge, how to irrigate the Sahara Desert and make vast new areas of land cultivatable. But first, here's Jackie to tell you all how to rid the world of all known diseases.
Actually, now for something completely different.
And now for something completely different.
15 tons of milk bottle tops, chocolate papers and odd little bits of tin foil.
Absolutely marvellous. An enormous thank you to everyone who sent something in, however small.
And we've done it. The 3 million target flashing on our totalizer means that you've sent us enough old socks and pillowcases for us to buy the Blue Peter dormitory for Starehe Boys Centre. Joseph, on behalf of all Blue Peter viewers all over Britain, we've got very great pleasure in presenting you with this plaque for the new Blue Peter dormitory.
Thank you very much. I must say that it was unnatural, especially when I was told they were collecting old socks, old pillows to raise money for us. But what was positive about it is that, you know, they were raising money for poor children. I was one of them, and I was very touched by that gesture.
The boys knew I was coming and they lined the road to give me a tremendous welcome. No wonder the building interested the boys. For the first time, they'd be having a roof over their heads and living in a proper home.
There it is, Joseph. My stone's well and truly laid.
If it were not for the help I get at Starehe, I might have ended up as a street waif or as a beggar.
Did you speak English before you went there?
I could speak only little English before I went there. I must say it was very exciting when I knew that I had been chosen to take part on the Blue Peter program. Although I was afraid that perhaps it might be very cold or maybe people might not be very friendly there. It turned out very well.
And now I open this wonderful dormitory, which will be a home for another 60 boys.
Today, Joseph is Deputy Director of Starehe.
The reason why I came back to my old school is that I wanted to serve I wanted to give back what had been given to me, and I must say that I've been trying to do that in a very small way, and I enjoy it very much.
I'm sure we've all had fantasies about being a presenter, I mean, just once in our young lives. That is, someone willing and ready to jump out of an aircraft from an extraordinary height with minimal training, or bond sensitively with a three-legged tortoise. Someone full of Dunkirk spirit who can cheerfully describe to camera how seconds earlier they nearly lost a finger or even their life in a boating accident, but without losing their head.
When the spray had settled, all I could see was a shattered hull, the remains of Val's boat.
Suddenly Bob tried to look out, and there was the most enormous piece of wood right under our bow, a terrifying crash. And I said, what on earth happened? And I looked at the back, and the engine was off, and the whole of the back of the boat was out, and it was filling with water. We were rescued, though, fortunately. And I'm very cold and rather wet, and shaking a bit.
For most of us, the people who can never change are the presenters. They're permanently etched in their TV heyday.
The thing that really struck me more than anything else was Valerie Singleton's blue eyes, because obviously black and white, you've no idea, and bang, sparkling blue eyes. Enchanted.
Well, I think it's a very good thing they have got a nice deserted spot to do their sailing on, because I think if you were driving a car along the road, you get quite a shock if you saw a yacht coming zooming towards you.
As I seem to have got rather a reputation for climbing things, I couldn't see a ladder going up the front of Nelson's column without wanting to go up and have a look and see what it was like at the top. So here goes.
John, we're on the interview
I tell you
now.
what, I told them to change the set. It would go musty and dirty. Look at the place.
Well, it's got its charm. It's just aged up a little bit.
A bit like me. A bit like me,
No,
yes.
I
I'd take the influence.
I didn't.
Influence.
So,
That's the wrong word.
John,
Yes.
now I have to ask you this question. Do a lot of people still see you as the hero?
Everybody except the wife.
Really?
No, I don't know. You see, everybody used to say this. Say, oh, my hero. Mothers used to come and say, you brought up my children. I used to look at some of the children and say, oh, good heavens, did I?
But did it make you feel that wasn't something that you wanted to be known for?
No, you see, basically I was an actor. And I came along, and when I was a mountaineer, I actually became a mountaineer. When I became a racing driver, I was a racing driver. And when I jumped out of an aeroplane, I was mad.
The ground's coming faster and faster, and we're going in a right landing, and we're down, and we're up, and the canopy's down, and this is great! Oh, there's nothing like it! I didn't hit the pit, but I hit the ground. It was soft. There's nothing to it. Oh, the sky's mine from now on, buddy boy. Oh.
The thing I had was very quick reaction, especially when you're about to die and you don't want to.
There should be somebody coming into the link. Yes, he's coming in on me right. He's coming in rather fast. And, I'm upside down. About 20,000 feet, I'm upside down.
It was all this adventure and doing things that nobody had ever done before. I'd hate to follow in somebody's footsteps. I was lucky. I joined Chris Trace and Val Singleton when they were on, and I was the first John Noakes. And everybody's had to follow my act, unfortunately. It's a pity I wasn't really rotten, and then wouldn't have had such a hard job.
Oh, this is fabulous! This is great! Oh, this is wonderful! Oh, I feel like the monster out of a dream. What?
Take the rake out of me, Mel.
No.
Hello. Hello. Well, today's the day we picked the name for Daniel's donkey.
Hey, Daniel, what I've got? It's great for you.
Another Blue Peter regular to be found in the archives is Daniel, the Blue Peter baby, a real baby demonstrating for the first 2 years of his life how to be a real baby. Blue Peter's Pete and John became the first new men, albeit unknowingly. This was the 60s.
He decided it was time to play.
He's going to swim the channel one day.
We encouraged Daniel to play in the bath as it's an extremely good exercise for his muscles, and exercise he did.
Daniel was forced into early retirement in 1970 when he became a toddler. He hasn't been seen on television since.
Not very many people know that I was a Blue Peter baby, you know. If they do, it's because I've entrusted them. My childhood, it really started when I was 7, if you see what I mean. It's, I was told I was going on a 2-week holiday, which ended up in my parents divorcing, which is quite traumatic, really. And I ended up going through my school life, which is very hard, because of my family life, being moved around all the time.
Apart from his mum and dad and brothers and sisters, he recognises me, Val, and Peter. If he recognises you, no, Peter. Just watch his face.
Hello, Daniel. Oh, that's not the kind of recognition that I like.
Before I left school, I decided that I really didn't want much part in adult life, as I saw it, really. And I dropped out, shaved my hair off, become a skinhead, and then become a punk with that nice big white Mohican. It was great. I mean, if you're a punk rocker, you're a dropout, basically. If you drop out, you turn to drugs and things like that. I mean, I'm not talking heavy drugs or anything like that, but I mean, they were there as a stop, basically. I was a lookout man on the burglary, and I got caught for that. It wasn't a major thing, you know. It was got a minor fine and 2 years probation, which I spent flitting backwards and forwards between probation officers, which couldn't quite deal with me, really. I think being on probation just stopped me from doing it again, basically, and it taught me a lesson, which I've learned.
That's funny. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Daniel? Where are you? Come on.
Daniel, you are naughty. You're not meant to eat those now.
I left home as soon as possible, basically, which wasn't so great. It was like, you know, another move, which I wasn't really ready for at the time, and I did move back later on. I didn't really want a job at the time. Schooling wasn't really the sort of thing that set me up for a job. It was the sort of thing that just programmed me to go away from the school. I know people who go to the office, you know, suit tie guy, and, you know, got kids and the dog and the cat and the car and the garage and all that. It's out the window for me, really. My ambitions for the future really are to buy my own house and start my own small holding.
Daniel does sometimes see television at home when his brother and sisters are watching. He doesn't know what he's looking at, of course, but certain things do attract him. This is one of his favourite programmes, and it'll give you an idea of how his sight and hearing are developing.
I haven't got a telly. I think television and a lot of the programmes on it is just misrepresentation to the public. And they sucker for it. They love it. They lap it up.
Much better now. I just got to put a strengthening thing in here, Johnny.
Daniel!
I'd love to be Noakesy. I think that would be great. I mean, he's my hero, you know, even though I don't remember him in my early years. He's a sound geezer. Love him to bits.
What was your attitude to Daniel the baby? The Blue Peter baby. What was that like? So different from being up a mountain.
Oh, Peter and I used to dread filming. Oh, good heavens. We've got to go down and film with Daniel, this squalling little child, and bathe him and sort of stick nappies on and all sorts of things.
Did you find it difficult?
Oh, I didn't even find it easy with my own son.
Well, let's hope that Daniel's life will be as long and as happy as an old friend of ours, Miss Fanny Clamp.
Thank you.
If you're one of the thousands of children who actually appeared on Blue Peter, what do you have to show for it, apart from a party piece that you can wheel out about your day with John Noakes and Shep? The badge, of course. Baden-Powell had nothing on these.
A friend of mine said, well, look, can I borrow this badge? I want to show it to my mother or my parents. So I said, well, reluctantly, I said yes, and he lost it. And I was so disappointed. Couldn't remember what he'd done with it. So that's the old motto, not a lender or a borrower be.
And I keep everything.
Absolutely empty. There's my Blue Peter badge. People always ask when they know that I was on the show, have I got the badge? There's the proof.
Even if you weren't a child of Blue Peter, and there are those of us who don't admit to it, it must have touched your life in some way. You must have seen the famous clip of that elephant. Even the Queen's seen that one. Goodbye.
See you on Monday. Till then, goodbye.
Bye.
Better say goodbye now because it's fish tea time. Come and get it, lad.
Bye-bye.
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 See you on Thursday. Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
See you then. Bye-bye.
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 Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Well, our animals are going to be happy, in fact, because they're going away on holiday too. They're going to spend it out in the country, but Lulu won't be there.
Bye-bye.
There's no water in the bath.